G'day guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of a horror film from Ireland, English language, released in the year 2012, directed by Kieran Foy, and this film is called Citadel. The story to Citadel is as follows. Tommy Cowley lives a quiet life in a decaying apartment complex with his very pregnant wife. The couple is attacked one day by a group of hooded young thugs, and after a shocking act of violence, Tommy is left to raise his newborn daughter alone, forever traumatized by the attack. Suffering from extreme agoraphobia, Tommy alternates his days hiding out from imagined threats in his new apartment and intense therapy sessions aimed at bringing him back to normality. But when the same hooded gang returns to terrorize Tommy again, he's torn between his paralyzing fear and protective parental instincts. So the movie has Tommy as the main character. He's got a very pregnant wife, and at the start of the film they're attacked. And this results in the wife being put into a coma. Now, she's been in the coma for 9 months, but a while ago she gave birth before she slipped into the coma. Yeah, she was very hurt, but she's still able to give birth to the young daughter. So since she fell into the coma, Tommy has had to raise his daughter alone. And on top of that, he developed a really nasty case of agoraphobia from the attack. So he's afraid to go outside, and things are going really, really bad for him. So after 9 months, the doctors decide there's nothing they can do with her, so Tommy pulls the plug on the life support and she passes away. So Tommy is absolutely torn to shreds about this, but he has to focus on what is important to him now, and that is his young daughter. So this is not very easy, because one day he realizes that the same thugs that beat his wife have come back to terrorize him again, and this time they want his baby. So whether or not they succeed in what they set out to do, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the film. I absolutely love this movie, and I'm sure a lot of people out there as well, but it's one of those movies where you're either going to love it or hate it, because it could easily be misunderstood. Now, straight away, the movie that I think of when I think of this and think of the same sort of approach that the film has is a British film called F. F was about a group of hooded thugs that were attacking a school. Now, the reason why I'm making the comparison is because a lot of people hated F. I only gave it 4.8 on IMDb, and I felt that a lot of people missed the point of it, and they didn't quite grasp what it was underneath. And I'm not saying they're stupid or anything, but I'm saying that what happened is that they wanted a slasher, and that's what the trailer does. It advertised F as a slasher. And when they see it, it's not so much a slasher, it's more of a character sort of based, and it's kind of a symbolization of the younger generation and how violent they've become. So I can understand the confusion and the misunderstanding about that, and therefore the critical response. But for me, I actually got the depth of it. I got the intelligent sort of side to it, and I love that movie. So I was hoping that this would be the same, because it only got 5.3 on IMDb. But as I said, I was hoping that maybe people missed something, or maybe that I'll get something out of it that other people didn't. And that's exactly what happened with Citadel. I thought this was one of the most beautiful horror films I've seen in a very long time, because it's not only a horror film. It is on the surface, and that's the beauty of it. There's a surface of a formula horror film, but then underneath there are so many layers, and it concerns so many things that so many people can relate to. And the beauty of the film is that it's played so well by the main actor, Aaron Bernard. I can't pronounce his first name, but this guy is phenomenal as Tommy. He is very, very likable. He has everything going for him. He lives in a very sort of decaying complex where it's very poor, so you can kind of feel that crime is around the corner. But he has a young wife, and she's pregnant, and they're going to have a baby, so he has everything going for him. But then all of a sudden, with the click of a fingers, it's all taken away from him, and he's completely destroyed. And straight away you get a sense of sympathy for him, because the way he reacts, he's developed a really nasty agoraphobia, mental illness as a result of a traumatic event. Now, for me, I had cancer. As a result of that, I had depression, so straight away I could connect to Tommy's situation. Although he went through different things, it was still a case of developing something nasty from a traumatic event. And a lot of people will be able to connect with this guy, and when the bad things start happening, because you like him so much, because he's had so much bad luck, you want him and his daughter to get out of this predicament alive. And so that creates so much more tension, it creates so much more sort of a scary value, that when the scary horror set pieces set in, they work very, very well. And atmospherically, it's an absolutely brilliant film. It feels like you yourself are agoraphobic. When the scenes inside the house were phenomenal. I felt that it was such a claustrophobic sort of feeling that his security was confined to this house, and that every time he went outside, it was like the big bad wolf. Everything was corruptible, and there was this danger at any given moment. And so at any corner he could have faced trouble, and that created so much suspense. It's kind of like going out into the ocean and the sharks surrounding you. It felt like it was a ticking time bomb, and that Tommy needed to get out of this environment for the benefit of him and his daughter, but you just don't know if he can because of this mental illness. And he's trying so hard to make a better life for him, get over his problems through the love of his daughter. So the relationship between his young daughter and the main character was superb. I thought it was beautiful, very humane, realistic, and I thought, that was something that doesn't happen in a lot of horror films, and that's what makes this horror film so brilliant, is the fact that yes, it is a horror film on the surface. Yes, there are elements to it that are a little bit far-fetched, but deep down you feel that the horror aspect of it isn't the point. The point is bravery, dealing with mental illness, coping with a very tragic event, and just all around being brave within yourself, facing your fears. You don't want to do it, but you have to do it. And it shows you just bravery, the love of your family, and what love of your family can make you do. And it can make you do things that you never thought possible. So the whole movie it slowly unwinds. It is a slow burner, but the character of Tommy keeps you enthralled throughout the entire length, and that is why I felt that the film works so much. Now, there are some very good horror set pieces, some very scary moments. So as far as scare value is concerned, this is genuinely horrifying. I thought the villains, I'm not going to give anything away, but I thought it was very similar to the villains in F, where it wasn't so much individual villains, it was a generalization of the older generation towards the younger generation. Now, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have feared a kid. But these days, even though the kid might be small in stature, they're still very intimidating because they feel like they don't worry about consequences anymore, that the world has forced certain people to grow up very fast. So although they're small, although they're young, they're still capable of horrific things. And it's a very real problem in Britain and Ireland. And I think that's why they do it so well as far as these sort of younger generation hoodie horror films are concerned, is because the paranoia that's had by the older generation towards the younger generation is very real, and that's kind of like a battle between the two. And this is exactly is the thing that is very relevant in this film, is that on one hand you've got Tommy on his other sort of friends in the film that come through it. They sort of symbolize the older generation, where they're very scared of the younger. And so I really like that aspect to it, and I like the fact that the villains were exaggerated to the point where they weren't quite human, but they were really, a symbolization of the younger generation. So that's something I also really liked about it as well. It's a very unpredictable film. The director took me down roads that I never thought I would go down. After I saw the trailer, I thought I knew how it would play out, but it didn't play out that way. So that was a very welcome surprise as well. The ending, absolutely beautiful, one of the best endings. Usually I don't like these kinds of endings, but for the film I thought it fit perfectly, and it inspired me. And I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of people. So this really is a surprising film that has a lot more power to it than I could ever have imagined. I thought it was just going to be a standard horror film, but it was far from it. So overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I thought this was fantastic horror filmmaking, and I'm sure a lot of people out there will like it as well, just as long as you go in there with the right expectations. So there is a little bit of blood, there is some pretty shocking scenes of violence, but it's not a gore fest, so please be careful. It's more of a psychological horror film. So that's my review of Citadel. 4 stars, definitely comes recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.